It's silly season. A legend retiring, new graduates from Formula 2, 10 current drivers on the grid without a contract for next year. The question we need to answer today is, what will the 2023 F1 driver lineup look like? Stick around to hear the predictions of the least qualified man on YouTube. Unlike other sports, there are no fixed times of the year when F1 driver deal talks can take place. As a result, we are in a constant shuffle of backroom talks, secret deals, rumours upon rumours upon rumours that make up the political nightmare we call silly season. Trying to predict the lineup for future seasons is therefore almost impossible, particularly when half of the grid has their contract expire at the end of this season. But that doesn't mean we won't try anyway. Let's start this video by getting the easy teams out the way first. 3 teams already have their lineup completely locked down for next year. McLaren already has Norris and Ricciardo signed for 2023. Mercedes have Lewis until the end of 2023 and have George signed on a multi-year deal that at least includes 2023. And as of the beginning of the Imola weekend, Ferrari now have both Leclerc and Sainz signed on until the end of 2024. So 3 teams down, but that still leaves us 7 to discuss. Let's get into it. To give some order to this video, we're going to go down the teams in order of current Constructors' Championship standing as of round 4, 2022. Red Bull have Max Verstappen locked down on an insane deal that lasts until the end of 2028. All the way through the current formula and into the next one, set to arrive in 2026. As far as I'm aware, the longest contract that has ever existed in Formula 1 history, and also the most expensive one. But then again, he's pretty good. Verstappen will likely have a few different teammates during that time, but I predict that his teammate for next year will remain the same. Sergio Perez. Perez is looking strong so far in this new era of cars, bringing home solid points, currently sitting 3rd in the Constructors, right behind Verstappen, and he's already out-qualified Verstappen once, with 2 second places already in the record books for Perez this year. It's pretty likely he may be picking up some wins as this season progresses. So with all of that, I really can't see Red Bull dropping him for next season. We start the list with a simple one, that means Red Bull for next year, business as usual, Verstappen, Perez.
Alfa Romeo.
It's already confirmed that Bottas's contract with Alfa extends at least until the end of 2023. But who's going to be joining him? Alfa's rookie this year, Zhou Guanyu, is honestly looking pretty decent so far. He's already got points on the board, not as many as Bottas, but that's kind of what was expected of him. I would say he's pretty much meeting expectations. Now, Alfa's decision becomes a little bit more complicated because they do have a very promising rookie in F2 this season, Théo Pourchaire, who could very well win Formula 2 this season. And so you may be thinking that Alfa would want to make this swap, right? Well, we have to remember, as sad as it is to say, contracts aren't purely decided based on pace, and Pourchaire really doesn't bring a huge amount of sponsor money to Alfa, which does not help his chances. On the other hand, you know who does bring a huge amount of sponsor money? Zhou Guanyu. With at least one race in China scheduled for 2023, it seems pretty clear that Alfa's going to want to hold on to Zhou for at least another year. And honestly, he's earning that place based on his driving anyway, so it's not a great upset. Alfa Romeo for 2023, no change. Bottas, Zhou.
Alpine.
Ocon has a contract with Alpine until the end of 2024, so really there's only one seat to discuss here. Alonso's future in F1 really only depends on one thing. Does Alonso want to stay in F1? If the answer is yes, you better believe that he's still going to be in that seat next year. Alpine obviously does have a very hot property in Oscar Piastri, having won F3 and then won F2 in back-to-back seasons, which is not easy, and so clearly they want to give Piastri a seat somewhere in Formula 1. But will they kick Fernando Alonso out to give him that seat? No. Alonso has had a pretty unfortunate start to the season, so points-wise, if you look at the table, he doesn't look all that strong. But he has already reassured people that he still has that crazy Alonso pace by almost setting a front row grid qualifying time in Australia in a car that definitely does not deserve to be on the front row of the grid. And aside from that, Piastri is popular, yes, but he's not Alonso popular. Almost no one is. Alonso is a huge mover of merchandise. The man has been in Formula 1 for 20 years, and he's accumulated quite a fan base in that time. The man's a PR dream, cameras love him, so he's a sponsor's dream as well. And also, as it turns out, he's a pretty good driver. And so, as I said, the only question really is, does Alonso want to be in F1 next year? Yeah, it seems like he does. Alpine 2023, Ocon, Alonso.
AlphaTauri.
This is the first team on this list that has no drivers confirmed for next year, so let's have a little chat about their current drivers. Pierre Gasly has been the underdog golden boy since being demoted back down to AlphaTauri in 2019, consistently dragging that car significantly further up the grid than you really would have expected. In 2022, he has looked like he struggled with the new car so far, but I would imagine his form from the last couple years would help him through contract negotiations anyway, even if his form doesn't improve this year in the next few races. Now, if Gasly had a chance with a team higher up the grid, I'm pretty sure he would take it. However, the only team that he even has a crazy low chance outsider chance with is Alpine, which honestly is not much of a jump up the grid. And also, Alpine already has more options than they know what to do with. Therefore, most likely thing is I see Gasly sticking around in the first seat for AlphaTauri for 2023. His current teammate, Yuki Sonoda, is looking pretty strong to start this season. But then again, he also looked pretty strong at the start of last season. However, after the first few races, he then went on to get absolutely demolished by Pierre Gasly for the rest of the season, which could happen again. Before the start of this season, I did say that Yuki's seat was at risk in F1 unless he really ups his game compared to last year. But we do need to consider, if he leaves AlphaTauri, who's going to fill his seat? Red Bull is not short of junior drivers in Formula 2, where they currently have 5 people on the grid. Honestly, Helmut, chill out. But if we look at this group, do any of them look like clear favourites to replace Sonoda for next year? The favourite in this group is probably Liam Lawson. He's got a few solid seasons in F3 and now F2 under his belt already, and also quite a strong showing in DTM last year where he beat Alex Albon. But he still doesn't really have that kind of star status that would convince Red Bull to bump him up and kick Yuki Sonoda out, I don't think. Winning Formula 2 this year would help that cause and may well convince Red Bull to make the change. And Lawson has a chance to do that, as do some of these other guys. But barring that, I really don't see it happening. And so, if not their Formula 2 guys, do Red Bull have anyone they could put in that seat if they don't want to use Sonoda anymore for next year? Well, they do have one more option. And his name is Alex Albon. My prediction for 2023 is Red Bull pulling Albon back out of Williams and sticking him in that AlphaTauri. Considering Albon has looked strong so far in this current generation of cars, really strong for that matter. Also considering Red Bull is absolutely the kind of team who would do this just to annoy a rival team, my prediction for 2023 in AlphaTauri, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon.
Haas.
When Magnussen returned to F1 at the start of this season, Haas handed him a multi-year contract that at least covers 2023, so he's all locked in. In the other seat at Haas, we currently have Mick Schumacher. Now, Mick has not been looking that strong for the start of this season, now that we can compare him to a more experienced driver. As a one-year Formula 1 veteran anyway, and also supposedly a prodigy child, winner of Formula 2, we would really expect at this point him to at least be equaling Magnussen. And that is coupled with the fact that to start this season, he's looked a little spin prone, which in the cost cap era of Formula 1 is a big no-no. Yeah, buddy, that's going to cost you $2 million right there, man. However, I do find Mick's future quite hard to predict, because he has one thing that Magnussen does not have. Those 3 little letters. MSC. He is a PR dream. clearly a link to a good amount of sponsor money, and a Ferrari golden boy, and you don't want to upset them. As long as he doesn't drive too many cars into walls this season, I can see Mick Schumacher sticking around at Haas for 2023. And so for next year, Haas, Magnussen, Schumacher.
Aston Martin.
Technically, neither of Aston's drivers have a contract for next year. However, I think it is safe to say that one of them is unlikely to be going anywhere. As long as Daddy Stroll is still running the team, which is not a 100% guarantee, but that is a topic for another discussion, assuming Daddy Stroll is still head of this team for next year, Lance Stroll is still going to be there. So really, we can take him off. And so, we need to look at Vettel and ask the question, is he sticking around? It's looking 50-50, but in my opinion, I don't think he should. And I'm not saying that because I don't think he's good enough. He beat Stroll last year, he's beating Stroll this year, and will probably continue to do that. And regardless of all of that, he's Sebastian Vettel. He's Sebastian Vettel. He wouldn't have won 4 championships if he wasn't a pretty good driver. No, I say I think he should quit because honestly, I think that's probably what's best for Vettel. Why stick around at the back of the grid? He obviously doesn't need the cash from this job. You could make an argument that it's a good platform for his activism, that is true, similar to Lewis Hamilton as well in that regard. But honestly, I think the main thing that would be keeping him around is just the love of racing. And really, we have to ask ourselves, is driving this Aston Martin fun? Really? I honestly think that Vettel should pull himself an Alonso, back away from F1, find himself a nice Le Mans drive or something similar to that, remind himself what it's like to drive a good car again. Actually, Vettel's career trajectory is looking more and more similar to Alonso's before he came back. Amazing success in their early years, then moved to Ferrari to try and win a title with them. Didn't. Moved to a midfield team that they predicted was on the up, got that wildly wrong. And then obviously, in Alonso's case, left for a couple of years. Had some fun, won Le Mans twice, tried to win the Indy 500. Really, that didn't work out, but it probably was a lot of fun. Vettel, man. Why not do some of that? Go win some trophies somewhere else, and then maybe see if there's a chance to slip back into F1 in a couple of years. Help out one of the lower teams, but one that seems a little more fun to drive at least. So, my prediction and hope is for Vettel to step away, graciously end his career so far at the end of this season. But then, who will replace him? Aston Martin doesn't currently have a young driver program, and there isn't anyone ready in the Mercedes young driver program to step up to Formula 1. So, why not just steal someone else's rookie? I predict that Aston Martin will pick up a star junior driver for next year. It starts with a P, but it isn't Piastri. I predict they're going to go with Teo Porcher. He's been looking hot in the junior formula for a while. Is currently leading F2 by like 1 point, but still it counts. And if Alfa Romeo don't need him, why not take him? Considering Lance Stroll should be filling the veteran role at Aston Martin in terms of car development, as he's now entering his 7th season in Formula 1, which sounds insane, there's no reason why Aston Martin can't take a little gamble on a new rookie. So, Aston Martin 2023, and before you say it, no hulking back, it's not going to happen, sorry. Aston Martin 2023, Stroll, Porcher.
Williams.
I've already predicted for Red Bull to pull Albon away from Williams for the 2023 season, which means you already have one seat that needs a driver. But before that, what about Latifi? Sadly, it does look like Latifi's World Championship hopes for this season may not come true, as he is having a small issue with crashing the car all the time. After 3 seasons, I think it may well be time for Williams to say goodbye to Mr. Latifi. And if you keep spending so much on repairs, that may well be 2.5 seasons. He brings good money to the team, yes, but his struggles this season, combined with the fact that he's been basically thoroughly beat by his teammate on every single weekend that he's raced in, mean that Williams may want to look elsewhere to find a new person to fill that seat. And guess who's available? is Oscar Piastri. Really, a perfect fit for Williams. The kind of driver should be able to pull off those hero performances, which have been basically the only times that Williams have scored any points in the last few seasons. I think Williams would be silly not to take the Australian driver. To join Piastri, Williams could do with a driver who's had a couple years Formula 1 experience, just to help a little bit more with the development of the car. On top of those years' experience, you want to find someone who has proven to have decent pace, not necessarily superstar pace, but decent pace. Oh, and wow, look who else is available! It's Yuki Sonoda! It sounds dumb, I know, but it is called silly season for a reason. A 2-year veteran and a speedy young rookie would make a brilliant lineup for Williams to, I would say, start the rebuild, but I mean, the rebuild started a while ago, to continue the rebuild back to a midfield or a front-running team. These two could also develop into a pretty spicy pairing if Williams decides to take my advice. Which of course they will, because obviously 100% both predictions in this video are going to come true. Williams 2023, Piastri, Sonoda, which quite nicely rounds off our grid for next season. If you think that I've got this horribly wrong, please feel free to tell me how much of an idiot I am down below. If you like this video, remember to like it, and you could always subscribe while you're there so you catch the next one. Until then though, I've been Mr. B, stay safe, and I will see you guys later.